You know, if it's one thing I've learned from watching the first half of the MC Hammer Behind the Music special, is that the money never runs out. You've tuned in a new job. Who dis? Welcome back, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all the people around the world. You've tuned in a new job. Who dis? Episode 41 of this illustrious podcast, videocast that you are here for. You have been in it since the beginning. I know you have. I'm talking to you, my 13 listeners. Now, maybe I have 14. I don't know, but I have 13 right now. 13 solid listeners who are with it and are here to stay until the end. We're almost there, too, by the way. If you are back, welcome back. I love you for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. If you are new here, you have 40 episodes to go back and listen to and follow the bouncing ball of how we got here today, 2020, turning into 2021. How did we become your host, your magnificent manager to the stars, your prism of excellence, Halston Body? And we're doing it via a storyline of how my jobs, my careers, my dreams, my hopes, my forays into making money to survive and otherwise have either succeeded in certain ways, taught me a lot of lessons in other ways, and have either done me right or done me wrong. And I have made some pretty awful choices, but I've made some pretty amazing choices. So you're here for that. You're here for the journey. We're almost done. It's almost there. I know. You're like, wow, where has the time gone? It's been 20 plus weeks. I can't believe how fast we've gone through, 5 months of programming. But we are going to wrap it up before the end of the year. I will give you that fair warning right now. It will be done before the end of the year. So buckle up, kids. We're almost there. So glad you're with me. I quoted at the beginning of this program, at the top of the hour, is the quote about MC Hammer and how the money never runs out. Well, that is going to absolutely play into what we're talking about here today on New Job Who Dis. And, I will tell you again, and I have to say this out loud, because we definitely have to check in as to where were we? Where were we talking about? I always love to give you your 5 minutes of where did we leave off? And I'm trying to get my life together. It's really where we're at. I am trying to get it together. I'm trying to put my shoes back on, my pants back on, and get out of bed and try to recover from a complete failure of everything. And it got its claws in me, and it stuck thorns in me and porcupine quills, and it sent me to 3 rounds of different therapy and, medicines and a whole lot of marijuana smoking. And, oh, wow, yeah, no, we got into it. And I got out of I basically got out of the hole and got out of the darkness and got out of the pit I was in by putting my hustle boots back on and trying to just find work. Didn't matter. The dreams and the hopes and the big food truck cookie business dreams were completely on hold or gone. I'd like to put them on hold, realistically. I'd like to say that I still have them, and I do. I do have ideas and plans and thoughts if, as the story will continue, and maybe these will, I'll rename the chapters when I write the book. It'll be called All Dreams, No Dollars, because that's where we were. I had big dreams, shooting for the moon. Woo, I hope I landed into the stars, and I landed back on Earth really fast. But that's the reality of the situation. I failed miserably, landed on my face and my knees, scraped my elbows. Bad. It was bad. And bad for me, I should say. It wasn't bad for the world. It was just bad for me. I was in a deep, dark depression. suicidal ideations, problematic brain. And I had to dig out. I just had to keep talking and keep myself upright and figure out a way. And I did. I took on jobs as a task rabbit in the early stages of the game. This was almost 8 years ago now. Going on 9 years really. It was just jobs. It was work. Hey, lift this thing. Hey, carry this thing. Hey, clean this thing. Hey, it was just all of the things that I already knew and I had skills in doing. But it was just like day gigs. It was, as I like to call it, organized day worker. And the quote, sorry, I had to come back around. I literally, my brain not working. I was quoting this lovely show. It's one of my favorite cartoons ever. It's called Clone High. And if you look up Clone High and watch it on DVD or watch the season, it was amazing. And there's a very funny quote about how the professor, this guy goes, if I've ever learned anything from watching the first half of the MC Hammer behind the music, the money never runs out. Well, in this case, the money ran out long ago for me. All dreams, no dollars, right? I want to have a food truck. I want to have a cookie business. I want to have all these things. I didn't even explore it. Now, the funny thing is, you're like, well, why didn't you just get a loan? At the time, my credit was garbage. And realistically, I didn't think that route. This is part of the failure that I submitted to, is that I didn't go like small business loans and all this thing. I didn't have any collateral. I had nothing. Who's going to give me money? No one's going to give me money like that. I wasn't, I don't know. But I never asked, so I really don't know the answer to that. That's the left it on the table unknown, is if I actually got some business loans or some sort of, here's something to get you going, kid. I don't know where we'd be right now. But that's water under the bridge now. Is 8 years ago. I don't know where we're going to go in the future. I don't know if I'm going to have a breakfast truck. I don't know if I'm going to have a cookie business. I don't, and what's funny is that the depression hit me so hard and it affected me so deep. I didn't bake any cookies, any Christmas cookies, any cookies whatsoever. I baked I think in 8 to 9 years. When I used to bake them all the time, I used to bake them for holiday, for Christmas. I used to just bake. I loved baking cookies. It hit me and struck me so hard that I stopped making cookies altogether. There was one special event about 4 or 5 years ago that I made cookies for. And that was just it was just a project. It was more like an art project versus an actual cookie spread. And other than that, I haven't made any cookies until this Christmas and this holiday season. I finally cracked out, and it was, real talk. It was on the behest of my husband, but I had to shake the dust off and get back on the horse. And I baked cookies, and it felt great. It felt good. I felt happy. I didn't feel burdened and pained and had anything looming over me or dark clouds. It was like, oh, this is fun again. I remember doing this. Fun. So, little redemption there. Little, hey, it's good to feel happy again in that realm. However, I'm back on I got to make money and I got to survive. Because again, we are in survival mode at this point. I've borrowed a chunk of change from a close friend who had to witness me sobbing my face off for an hour and a half straight to choke down the shame and the ego, the pride, whatever I had to choke down, because I wanted to just figure it out and make it happen on my own. And I needed help, and it was painful to get through. And now I know better. Now when I know that when things are tight and things are problematic and you have worry, you gotta ask for help. You gotta put out that hand. It's challenging to do. We all want to do it on our own accord, and we all want to cross that finish line by ourselves. But realistically, the big lesson I learned through that whole thing was that I needed to ask for help. So I'm doing TaskRabbits, and I'm trying to just survive. I'm trying to get money in the bank. I'm trying to push through. And I do a TaskRabbit for a company that still exists. It's called Loot Crate, Loot Crate. And essentially, it was a temporary gig. It was like, oh, we're going to need you for 4 days. And then it turned into 5. And then the next month it turned into like a whole week. And then it turned into 10 days. And then it turned into 14 days. And essentially, I was getting in the front door, realistically. I figured it out quickly. And within 6 to 7 months, it had to take a lot of work. I showed up. I kept showing up. I kept asking for more work. I kept asking how I can be helpful. I kept doing the most work and not complaining about it. I practiced gratitude for actually being able to have shoes on my feet and a place to stay and a bed to put my head in and a pillow to put my head in, a bed to put my body in, and closer friends and close friends versus all the friends, a lot of friends, acquaintance village, as I like to call it, or that guy, I know these people, but I don't really know them. They're kind of just there. And so it was a big fresh start. And I did enough work, hard work, labor, pushing and shoving, coming up with ideas, just being on top of my labor game and my hard work game and my hustle game to somehow just show that I'm here to win and make money. And I knew there was a carrot at the end of the stick. With Loot Crate, I was like, they're giving me money and it's a regular gig. So show up, put a smile on, sweat, and do the hard work and be a leader. And it paid off. I got a full-time gig. They offered me a full-time customer support gig. I was the first hire of the customer support team. I was like the only person that was doing customer support was the wife of the owner, the co-owner, I should say. And she needed help. We were blowing up fast enough that the support needed help. We need customer support. Great. I had no idea what I'd be walking into. It was great. I want to tell you this. I have to disclaim this whole conversation about Loot Crate for the legal team at home. No, I know I got a severance and I signed like a non-disparaging agreement. I don't have anything bad to say about Loot Crate. I'm not here to tear down their walls, expose their truths, and taste the bitter pill of what they did to me or whatever. I will tell you this straight up. Number one, it was the best job I ever had because it advanced me as a human being. Just because I dug in and I invested in me and I did all the things. What happened, the redemption eventually will come. But what happens is that in this meantime, I'm just starting over and pushing myself the best way I know how. And it worked. I became a customer support person, number one. This is before, and this will tell you how early I got in on the company. This is before they had payroll. Like every 2 weeks, the boss, the owner, would just come over with a check. Write me handwritten checks. There was no payroll yet. It was still a startup. It was baby. 6 months in, 7 months in when I first started. By the time I came around, we were getting around to a year in business. Brand new. Baby. Startup. And I had no idea. I was just climbing up this roller coaster that was about to go over the edge. Because it did. Holy smokes. I'm glad I got in when I did. Because what happened was the customer support blew up. Great. I was flying by the seat. I was just flying by the seat of my pants. Where's my crate? Of course, for those who don't know what Loot Crate is, to remind you of that as well, it is a monthly subscription box company where you get, for every month, you get like a box of t-shirt, action figure, toy, thing, keychain, swag for the geek and comic con crowd, for the action heroes and the Marvel universe and the whole, like, every geeky thing you can think of. Firefly, and I mean, we had all sorts of things, anime and video games and Nintendo and all the things that culty, like, there's a cult of geek around it. And so that's what we were playing to. We were giving people Comic Con from home. If you lived in Podunk, Kansas, or nowhere, Wisconsin, and you could not drive or fly yourself to Comic Con in San Diego every year to witness the spectacle that is Comic-Con, and or the bigger ones, or the Stan Lee's Kamikaze, or all these big, there's one in Seattle, they're all over the place. If you can't get there and you need cool shirts of Guardians of the Galaxy, or, Firefly, or, whatever it was that you're a geek about, we tried to provide that. And it was $20 a month and you got a box of stuff. It was great. Jelly of the Month Club for Geeks. So I got in and I started doing support. And it was a lot of, where's my crate? Where's my crate? Where's my crate? Where's my crate? Hey, where's my crate? By the way, where's my crate? Hey, are you guys sending a crate? Where's my crate? That was the first pile up. What eventually happened, okay, and this is because there's a lot of in between that I could give you. There's a lot of it. And again, I'll have to say this for the legal team at home. I am not going to indict Loot Crate and punish them by telling all the dirt. If somebody out there has the money and means to not only pay me for the information, but also cover any sort of settlement that Loot Crate would have against me based on the information I know about what really happened, then by all means step up, hit me up in my DMs. I will gladly take your offer if it's at least 7 to 8 digits. I'm going 8. Let's go 8. But right, again, I have no real reason to indict Loot Crate for being the company they are or were. It's all public. If you look on the internet, especially like Reddit, the tales and tribulations of Loot Crate's ups and downs and the roller coaster it went on are very detailed as far as just the basic of what you need to know. I have a lot of names. I have a lot of people that I worked with or worked around, or they just were in the building that I could absolutely spill the tea on and tell you, don't hire these people ever again. Oh my God, this is what they did, or what they didn't provide, or I don't know. There's a whole mess of them that I absolutely would be like, they don't get to darken my doorway ever again. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is to talk about what it did to me and how it changed me and how I grew up via Loot Crate, how I had to, again, redemption. I had to fight back. Well, it worked. Again, the hard work, the labor, the willingness to just go the extra mile, the willingness to dig in and fix the problems and try to make the support better. Because again, I've been through 20 years of customer support at this point. In and out, up and down. I was ready to jump in and help mold and shape the customer support voice. And what is it? What are we doing? How do we fix the problems? Because I came from a lot of experience. We got hit really bad with support tickets. We had to hire quickly. We had to get people in, warm bodies, taking tickets and chats and all that quickly. Because Loot Crate, what it's called in the business is hockey sticked. They were a startup. We worked for the first year. By the end of the first year, which is right around when I was getting hired, it was blowing up. It was blowing up fast, doubling, tripling the subscription numbers every month. It was just going month by month. It was like, oh, how many subscriptions do we have this month? 10,000. What about next month? 22,000. What about next month? 41,000. It was just, you blinked. It was almost like watching the old MDA Jerry Lewis telethon, where you're like, Ed, hit the numbers. I want to see the numbers. And they would do that timpani, hit the timpani. Let's see the new number for all the donations that came in. Ta-da! Oh my God, we're up every 5 minutes. It was like we were getting blown up. It was a thing. We caught fire. The concept was brilliant. I mean, come on. If I were a 12-year-old kid and you said every month you're going to get a Christmas gift in the mail and it's going to have a surprise selection of cool, geeky stuff that you can only get via that box. We're not sending you the Guardians of the Galaxy shirt that was on the Walmart shelves. We're not sending you the Firefly shirt that you can just get online. We had people designing, we had people making, we had to source specific things to get exclusives. And it worked. People ate it up faster than I could count. Well, with that came a whole lot of challenges and problems and issues and things that were uncharted. And what's interesting is that I found those things. The thing that came around of this job and the fact that I got hired as customer support person number one, and I will tell you this, eventually after 6 years of being there, I was like employee number 6 or 7. There were the two owners, the owner's wife, guy number one that got hired as a friend. There were all the 3 other people were in between, and then me. I had the most seniority. I knew the most about like what was going on and what had the history of it. So in year 4, when somebody was new hired and they didn't know the history, I had stories to tell them of what not to do, things like that. So I don't want to call myself a veteran, but I was a veteran by the time I was ending it, because again, there was all the turnover and the changing faces of a startup and new and whatever. However, Loot Crate people got hired in and hired out, and how they quit, why they quit, what happened during the day, all that. It was a circus. It was wild. It was insane as far as money. Because if you really did the math and you start counting those dollars, Loot Crate made a ton of money. In the first couple of years, first 2-3 years, whoa, blowing up, boom, 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 boom. And I said this again. I said this in the last podcast. So excited about it, I can't even spit it out. I said this in the last podcast that it was, as much as I could indict Loot Crate and talk spill the tea and the dirt about it, it was the best job I've had. And it was the worst job. It was like best and worst. It was the best of times and the worst of times. It was great because I advanced as a human being. I learned a whole lot about myself. I developed skills that I just hadn't polished and shined up yet. I developed a resume based on all the things that I did there that advanced me as a career girl. Like I was like, oh, wow, all these things that I'm doing have just now made me indisposable for other things. I can do these things. So all that tied in. Yes, there were absolutely some terrible times. There were absolutely some dumb decisions that were made. There were absolutely huge financial mistakes and things that were not, the T's were not being crossed and the I's were not being dotted. But in fairness, if there is a fairness level on this, Loot Crate's still around. It still exists. It's not dead, but the heyday is gone. Like that initial spark of, wow, subscription boxes are the thing. Yeah. It blew up so big. I mean, it was just this big thing. It was like, I think at one point we had well over 500,000 subscribers, 600,000 somewhere. It was big. It was big numbers. But again, that came with a lot of problems. One of the biggest problems was understanding how the mail works. So you're expecting a box every month. And you are expecting it because we tell you it'll come between this sort of range, between this time and this time. Wait for it for about 7 to 10 days in this range because we don't know when it's actually going to land. These crates were being shipped first class, so it wasn't like priority mail 2-day. We know we have tracking. We know exactly where it's at all times. We were just running and gunning on first class mail and the rates and all that stuff. And so what became apparent to me early on, and something that I taught myself, I didn't go to like retail class or customer support class to learn this, is that when it came to all this support that we were doing, because the support team grew fast and quick, we had so many subscribers coming in all at once, mixed with, we also had problems getting crates to people. And it wasn't anything we were specifically doing. It just was like, there was times where people were just like, where's my crate? And you would look at like the tracking that you had or the information you had, and you're like, I don't know. Like you really didn't have any education or knowledge about why it's showing that it's en route, or I don't know how to read into this mail system and try to figure out how to get these crates to people. And so one of the biggest things that I learned, as I was saying, is that when it comes to customer support, and this is my philosophy, and working at Loot Crate sealed that philosophy because it worked. We became a customer support team that won awards. We figured it out. The customer support is never this. And I learned this at the phone company. I think I talked about this in the phone company episode. Nobody calls the phone company just to say, hey, phone company, I've had your phone for 25 years and I just want to call today just to let you know it's still working. Still working. I haven't had a problem in years. I just want to thank you and congratulate you. And I'm so glad our relationship is working great. No. The only reason you call customer support is because you need help with something, or you need to fix something, or something's wrong, or whatever. Nobody just calls up there's no such thing as a compliment line for support. There's a complaint line for sure, but there is never a compliment line. So I was like, the way I think about it is that picture a mall, okay? Picture a mall that has all these stores in it that you love to visit, but you don't really know anything about the mall, and you don't know where to go things, So where do you go? You go to the information booth or the information desk in the middle of the mall. And the problem is that what you want to do is that you want to get rid of the easy questions. You want to get rid of this. You want to self-service people. So that's why FAQs were developed, because how many times can you answer the same question over and over again without sending them to a wall of, hey, do you have a question that's probably one of these? Here's some questions. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad I read this before talking to somebody. It answered my question. Well, in the same vein, if you've got people standing in line trying to ask you a question, and I've said this philosophy before, where I talk about how if you have a line, if your customers are in line for your customer support, and they're 10,000 deep, and you've got to answer everybody, and you and one other person are at the desk, at the information desk in the middle of this mall called Loot Crate, and everybody walks up, hi, how can I help you? Oh, yeah, where's the bathroom in this place? Oh, easy. It's right down the hall, down that way, over to just hang a left at the Sears, and you'll see the bathroom right down there. Great. Who can I help next? Next, please. Hi, yeah, where's the bathroom? Oh, yeah, sure, I just answered. It's right down the hall. Just head towards the Sears, and you'll see it right before the Sears. Take a left. Great. Next, please. Who else can I help? Hi, where's the bathroom at? Oh, God, would somebody please put up a sign? Would somebody please put up a sign that says, bathroom this way, down the hall, past the Sears, take a left. Put the sign over there. And then the 10,000 people, 4,000 of them walk out of the line. And now you're dealt with the 6,000 people. What do the 6,000 people want? Okay. And you break down the asks. You break down what do people need? What do people want the most? And then you add that to your FAQ, obviously, but you also give a level of self-service where if it's something you can just figure out on your own without having to talk to somebody, you give them the information. You're not giving away the farm. You're not trying to share the company secrets and tell everybody about everything. What you're doing is getting that line down to the people who are on fire and pregnant and about to give birth and they need a doctor. You need the person whose arm's fallen off and they need to see a tourniquet. That's what you need, is the deep dive problems that are not just where's the bathroom? Where's the bathroom? Where's the bathroom? Okay, bathroom's that way. Who needs real help? So that's what it became. And the first thing that was a constant was, where's my crate? Where's my crate? Where is it? Because again, you're adding into the science of Christmas and a gift coming every month, and you expect it a certain time every month, and it came on the 21st the last 2 months, and now it's not here. Where's my crate? Well, it looks like it'll be there tomorrow. Well, why isn't it here today? God. Yeah, so it was how do I get rid of all these customers who are just hey, where's my crate? Hey, is it here yet? Hey, is my crate here yet? I want my crate. How about now? What about now? Where is it? Well, if it's not here tomorrow, or if it's not here today, make sure to give us a call tomorrow. Well, it's not here tomorrow. Where is it? It was a battle. Oh, it was Whew, nonstop actually. And so what I had to do was figure out a couple things. One, early on, I noticed we didn't know where the crates were. So if a crate went out somewhere in Arkansas, our tracking only showed us so much. It showed us that it was sent and if it was delivered. There was no in between. There was no like, I see it's on its way. It was just like, yeah, we shipped it. And then you get the people who actually like said, hey, my crate didn't show up. And then you look at their tracking on USPS.com and it says it was delivered or it says it was returned. And you're like, what? How do you not have it if it says it's delivered? You know, obviously check the address, make sure that it's sent the right way. But what caught on to me early on was if it was returned, where is it? And for a good month, I combed the earth. I looked in our old warehouses. I asked our current warehouse folks. I had anybody who sees these, please tell me where they're at. Because I got to figure out why all of these customers are not getting their mail. But the U.S. Postal Service says that they're back. They've been sent back for whatever reason. What the hell? Well, Curious George over here is not the type that's like, well, shrug my shoulders, I don't know, ha ha ha. What I ended up doing is peeling back the wallpaper. And just there's a little teeny tab. I'm going to just pull that. And it pulled, and it started peeling more, and it started peeling more, and it started peeling more. And soon enough, I was on the phone with the USPS going, hey, USPS, where's our mail? I have 5 or 6 tracking numbers here at least, and they're saying they were returned. Yet I have combed my entire building and nobody's seen these crates show up or arrive. Where did they come? Where did they go to? Whew, when I peeled that wallpaper back, guess what I found? They had 7 pallets of returned crates sitting at the USPS warehouse that were returned. And you're asking yourself, well, why weren't they returned? Because we were so new and we were such a brand new entity that the U.S. Postal Service really didn't know what to do with us. And we also didn't set up return service on our labels. So when we sent that crate out, it didn't say on there return service requested. It didn't tell the U.S. Postal Service, hey, if these get returned, you have to send them back to Loot Crate because they got to do something with them. It unsolved all of the mysteries of the last 6 months, like 3 months or whatever of customer support of being like, where are our crates? Where did these go? And I was given the baton. Not only did I take the baton, but they're like, go, Bob, go. Go. And I did. I was like, all right, I'm digging in. And oh my God, over the course of like 2 years, I don't even say 2 years, I say 1 year, I learned more about the USPS than I could ever imagine. I learned all sorts of whys and whats to how the U.S. Postal Service works. I also fixed the problem because it wasn't just the U.S. Postal Service hanging onto the crates. Oh no. There was an internal problem. And the internal problem was the fact that we were letting customers put in bad addresses. And we were letting customers just not get that their mail, it was just sort of like this battle. It was less about inconsistent addresses, but it was also about people who moved and didn't change their addresses. It was all these little factors. And I started collecting the data and I started to try to chop down this tree that was backing up and getting taller by the minute, which was returns. Because then it became a question. Okay, well, what do we do with these things? If we get a crate back and we return it, does the customer get a refund? Do they get reached out to via email? Hey, we got your crate back. What gives? What's up? Where'd you move to? Or do we just go, your loss? We didn't know what to do. And I was like, I had to set up. So this is part of my, thank God I've been working and using my brain for 25 years to try and be a smart human being and put this together. I did it with the help of another gentleman named Brian, who also joined on my team specifically. Between the two of us, him and I reduced the amount of returns by like 45%. We figured out, we isolated the problems, we isolated the reasons, we figured out ways via technology to correct that behavior. We had conversations and business meetings with the U.S. Postal Service to reduce our rates and to get better clarity and communication about where our crate's going. And being able to accept when something goes wrong and trying to investigate it. So it wasn't just like trying to call the USPS raw. It was like, I have a liaison at the USPS that I need to talk to about this problem as a business. It was great. It was great. What it also did was it sort of, and I say sort of because my foot was still in there, it sort of took me away from customer support. I wasn't the person that was just, taking all the heat and taking all the customer calls and emails about, where's my crate? You guys have ripped me off. All the complaints. I was not part of the complaint crew anymore. I was part of the fix-it crew, and I wanted to fix it so bad. And I did. I grew a team of 4 other people. It was 4 people altogether. We had to tackle this problem. We had to work hard and smart to get through this issue of where are all these crates. It sharpened my skills to no end, because at the end of the day, I was trying to save the company money. Yes, we were making money hand over fist. I will not beat around that bush. We were rolling in it. And it showed. I mean, our customers, are not even just our customer support, our company Christmas party, 2 Christmas parties in a row that were bananas. Free food, free soda, free all this like cool, like when a startup starts, they're like, oh, make your workplace a rock star, like awesome, everything's awesome. Make your employees happy. Yeah, all great things. Very noble cause. Make your employees happy. Give them a free crate every month. We're all here. Teamwork. Go team. They did the open office thing. I don't know if you're not familiar. It's just like there's no more cubicles and you can't see the people you're working with. It's just like open tables and open, you can see across the room kind of thing, which really, I think that was a split on that as far as the opinions of the employees of whether they thought that was a good thing or a bad thing. I didn't mind it because I had transparency. I didn't really care if anybody saw what I was doing at my desk. I was working. So if you want to come by my desk or walk by my desk or be by me and do a little corporate spy game of like, what's he doing? Have no fear. I was not there to play around. I was there to work and make it happen. So it was great. Early on, I got this project. I became the returns and exchanges manager, so to speak. I was labeled a customer support manager, but at the end of the day, I was straight up a manager of the exchanges and returns. And because of how long I had been there, and because of how much money we were making, and because I was customer support person number 1, I think by year 2, I had gotten the biggest raise and the biggest amount of like my weekly paycheck, my salary was insane. I was like, what? You're going to pay me? I almost didn't believe what they're going to pay me. Especially when I did the math of like per hour. I was like, what? Not that I didn't feel like I deserved it because I was working hard, but I was like, again, my brain was so like poor kid syndrome and just came out of a traumatic life experience syndrome where I was like, I almost didn't want to believe I was being treated that well. And what's even better, and this is where the fun part of the redemption comes in, not just the, I'm getting my brain on and I'm trying to dive into something I love and da. After year, I want to say 2. So I got there in October of like 2011, 12. By the next year and the next holiday, they gave out Christmas bonuses or holiday bonuses, year-end bonuses to the active full-time staff. Not the TaskRabbiters, not the temporary warehouse workers, the active full-time staff. And it was enough money. I got the phone call. I will remember this like it was yesterday. The HR person that we had brought on, who I don't think he works there anymore, but he was there for, he was the one that had to lay me off. But spoiler alert. But he called me and I was just driving and he's like, "Hey, are you sitting down?" I was like, "Well, I'm driving. What's up?" And he gave me the number of this holiday bonus and I cried. I cried in my car. I could not believe I was giving this much money. Enough money that I could write a direct check to the best friend that I have that loaned me money to save my life. I was able to just write that off and pay him back in full, in perpetuity, all of the above. Here's the check for the X amount of dollars you owe. I owe you. Love you much. Whew, I'm out of that. So it was, again, 2 years of hard work, hard labor, trying to make it work, sweating, yes, I'll work overtime. Yes, I'll be here for you. Yes, I'll fix it. Yes, 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 yes. All that. And then I got to help with the customer's experience. There was a thing we did called a hackathon as a company, which is like one of these things where bunch of people that want to play get on teams, and then you all have to come up with an idea that essentially was for the customer or to improve the business. It wasn't like, I want better coffee in the lunchroom. It was, how do we make the customer experience better or more amazing or whatever it was? And we did this hackathon. And essentially, I walked through the customer experience on the front end. I was like, I'm a new customer. Let me go to Loot Crate. Let me see let me see what I'm doing here. Well, I signed up on an account. Where do I find that? Oh, here. But it didn't tell you anything. It just said you have a subscription. Didn't tell you renewal dates. Didn't tell you when your next crate's going to ship, how many crates you have left on your subscription. Nothing. And there were all these holes. I just poked a hole into. I was like, doop, doop. What about this? Doop, doop. And we won the hackathon because our whole goal was to make the customer user experience better. That's what we're here for, right? You don't want people complaining, so you fix the problems. I know, it sounds like simple math. What? What do you mean? You have a business that has problems and you just want to fix them? What kind of business are you? Like, come on. Do you want to take 15,000 customer service complaints about this one thing for the rest of eternity, or do you want to fix the problem? Do you want to answer 4,000 out of the 10,000 people in line at the information booth and the customer support booth asking the same question over again, or do you want to fix it? And they fixed it. I showed them how bad the customer support experience was, and there were audible gasps in the presentation room. The everybody all hands meeting. They were like, "What?" Like, it's almost as if they work for the company, but they never actually use the company. They never actually had to physically sign up and be a Loot Crate subscriber to understand how it really works. Pain point. It was so bad. Because again, it was a reflection of what was coming into customer support. All the same questions. Why can't I see my tracking? When is my crate supposed to be here? When is my last crate? When is the renewal date? All those things that should be right there for you in a self-service mode. They weren't there yet. I raised my hand. Hey, we should do this thing. Everyone's like, what? That's so smart. I can't. Wow. And it blew my mind. And I continue to do that. I continue to try to fix the experience. A lot of pain points, a lot of problems, a lot of issues. But I was there for it. I learned so much from the USPS. I learned so much about our mail routes and how first class versus priority versus whatever, media mail, all that. How does this all work? What happens if a package gets returned? Where does it go? Why does it go there? All of that all together. Best education of my life. And again, we're riding high. Holiday parties are hot. Free coffee and sodas and drinks. Great. Hey, who wants lunch today? I'm buying. Wow, we have all this money. Great. Money. We were spending money. Here's where it started to go south. You thought, well, I don't want to. I shouldn't preempt it. Get there that quickly. Maybe I'll save that for the next episode. Is what went wrong. Everything up to this point was great. Everything. I was knee, ankle, waist deep in returns and exchanges, trying to map out the behavior of it, creating PowerPoint presentations, just fix it. This is what's going on. This is the behavior. Here's the temperature. Here's what we need. Here's what we don't need. Here's what needs to get fixed first. All of those things started to play into this whole game. And it worked. It worked great. They paid me more than I've ever been paid before. I was rocking that salary. It was good times because I was autonomous. I was working on this problem by myself. And then I had my friend Brian, who started as a support person, but then moved over with me. So yeah, it was just it was like Loot Crate Challenge. How do I fix this? How do I fix the problem? I want everybody to get their crate. I don't want to have to deal with returns. I don't want to have to take these crates back because it costs us money. It was costing us almost as much as the crate cost, like for a customer, like the $20 to get it back and get it repaired and fix all the problems. Not to mention, if people wanted to get resent, we still had to spend that money. So it was rough. It was rough seas until it started to clear and we figured it out. And there were so many things like that. That's the best part about this Loot Crate gig was that I was constantly learning new skill sets and/or volunteering myself for things I hadn't done before in an effort to build my skill sets. It was great. Oh, super great. And it was a lot of work, but the fact that I was being left alone was great. It was just like, no, go do your work. And that's how I work best sometimes. I just bury my head, get in there and just do it. And then they're like, oh, wow, you're so productive. I'm like, yeah, right. Cause I'm not stopping every 5 minutes to chat with somebody. I'm not distracted in any way, shape or form. It was a smart move on my part. So where did it go wrong? It sounds so rosy so far. Why? What went wrong for you? Well, it doesn't completely go wrong off the rails right away. Bit by bit, though, it absolutely started to crumble in front of our eyes. The mighty empire of Loot Crate fell. And again, I could indict a whole lot of people. I could talk about these people. I could tell you the stories that we witnessed and we saw and we knew about, blah, 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 blah. But what I will do is make you wait till Friday. You knew that was coming. Listen, we're going to wait till Friday and I'm going to wrap up the epilogue tale of Loot Crate and why it seems so great. You're employee number one, you're customer support number one, I should say. You're rocking and rolling. You're being a leader. You're understanding how this game works. You're collecting the data on the customers as far as the behaviors and the why to the what's. You're absolutely getting an education on the U.S. Postal Service, which is invaluable. There were so many things. I relearn how to interview people, and it was all these things. Just the skill sets were just piling up one after another because of what I dove into and what I chose to attack in the service mode of Loot Crate. So yeah, that's the story. But it's gonna end, and it doesn't end great. But not any fault of my own as far as being part of the problem versus being part of the solution. So tune in on Friday. We're almost at episode 42, the meaning of life. We're almost there. And by that time, you will find out where the money went and why Loot Crate couldn't keep on its geeky big boy pants and had to eventually declare bankruptcy. Tune in on Friday. We'll be here for another gorgeous episode of New Job Who Dis. Thank you, my 13 listeners. Thank you for anybody who is tuning in and taking this in and learning whatever you can learn about what I've been through. And then we will get to the how did you become the Halston body in the next round, because there's a turning point that flashes in my eyes and waves its peacock feathers at me to go, oh, hey, what's going on over there that might change this game completely? Oh, I can't wait to tell you. So yeah, please tune in on Friday. Hey, everybody, tune in on Friday. Please subscribe. Please like. Please share. Please comment. Please tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell everyone. You've been listening to New Job. Who dis?